Hi everyone, I am Isis with Sistah Sci-Fi, and this is Sistah Sci-Fi Wind Down Wednesday, where we work hard to make Wednesday your new favorite day of the week. I took a couple weeks off to go to Baltimore Book Festival, and now I'm back. We will be discussing with Cadwell Turnbull and the final installment of the Convergence series. So, no gods, no monsters, and we are the crisis in the final book. I don't have my copy here with me, which is very annoying. Is a, a reign of great and free. So very excited about that. Carbo just joined.
Oh,
Perfect. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited for you to be here. Um, yeah, and I'm excited that everything works seamlessly. Like you're able to hop on.
One second.
Everything okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get you my headphones, but I guess
Oh,
it's
okay.
fine like this.
Okay. Yeah, let me know what you need to
I
do.
just I feel like an old man now because it's been a minute since I've been on a live. How you
Um,
doing?
I'm good. I'm feeling like an old person, but nothing to do with Instagram. But you're good. I loved all the TikToks. I loved reading. I reread book two. I enjoyed reading the series. But before we discuss the Convergence Saga, um, please introduce yourself. Okay.
Yeah, sure. I'm Cadwell Turnbull, author of The Lesson and the Convergence Saga. I write science fiction, fantasy, horror, all the weird stuff, and yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yay. Um, B2 Weirdo says happy pub week. Happy pub week for the
Thank
third
you,
year.
thank you.
Congratulations. How's it been? How does it feel like to have the complete series out?
It feels pretty amazing. Lots of relief. I think like my primary emotion is relief that I was able to finish it and that I think I did an okay job. So mostly relief, excitement. I'm really excited to see what readers think about the conclusion of the series. And yeah, I'm excited that it's out in the world. It's not just with me anymore, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I love the Convergence Saga from book one, No Gods and the Monsters. Enjoyed the conclusion and where we go. So my first question is there's there's a variety of different types of monsters and supernatural beings. What research did you do for the different types of monsters and gods? And a part of me is like, did you make any up, or are these all like traditional myths and like, yeah.
Okay, good question. Some of them are made up. So like the ones that you recognize, so like werewolves and vampires and all that stuff, that's popular culture stuff. And in the series I use shifters, so it's not just people that shift into wolves. People also shift into cats. There's like a snake shifter that was in the background of a scene in No Gods and Monsters. There's some shifters in this book that I think might be surprising to some readers, and so that shifter language is less from TV and film and more from books. So like um, um, urban fantasy, paranormal fiction, all that stuff has that thread of shifter fiction. And so like I borrowed from that for my reading there. Some of the monsters that are specifically Caribbean focused are monsters from Caribbean folklore. So the Sukunya or the Sukuyant is a Caribbean monster, and it varies depending on the island. So like I kind of took some liberties and I combined some lore from other Sukuyant stories, and so my Sukuyant Sukunya um, in this series is like an amalgamation of a variety of sukuyants, if that makes sense.
100%.
Um, the Woo Woo or the Weird Dog of the Antilles is a ghost story that my aunt told me when I was a kid to scare me. And I up to this day I'm not entirely sure if there is like a Caribbean counterpart. I think it was just a ghost story. But I lifted it from there and I developed it, and so I like to say that it does have a Caribbean origin. Um, the tech mages and the site mages and all that stuff, those are made up. Those are like
Oh,
things that I just came up with. That's not stuff from anything. I mean,
good.
there's like folklore and mythology about oracles and that sort of thing, and so like I'm definitely borrowing from that, like Cassandra's name and all of this other stuff. But the site mage and how the site mage work, how they work with each other, is
Right.
something wholly unique that I developed organically. And then the tech mage is just something that I thought was really cool. So like I developed that.
No, I love it. And it's so what you said, like you made makes sense. And I love the references to the Caribbean folklore, but like the mages reminded me of like I think Justina Ireland has like made like witches of different realms. And I was like, oh, this feels research, and then it's like made up. So I love it. I love it. I'm glad I asked that question. My next some series we follow a group of characters. Some series we it's the next book and it's 1,000 years into the future, and like the characters you follow from a book are like gone. You're like, oh, this is a whole new cast and crew. In the Convergence Saga, we as a reader really get to follow Ridley, Lena, Rebecca, and the progenitor throughout 3 books, and we get to see them grow. So as you wrote these characters and several others, how did you feel yourself growing as a writer with them?
That's a very, very good question. Oh my gosh. Let me think of that. So, I mean, the short answer is I've grown a lot through working on these characters, and I've grown with them in the sense that both I learn more about them as I write, as I've written the series, and they also teach me things as I've written the series. So, like, following Lena and trying to figure out what's going on with her has been like an interesting experiment for me. Sometimes I wasn't entirely sure. And one of the things that I would do, and I did this a lot in the first 2 books, is I would interview my characters. And so, I would treat them like people. So I would ask them questions about what was going on with them and how they felt about events and stuff like that. And then I would sometimes ask them to like tell me about that event in your own words,
Mm.
and interpret it for me, so like I would interview, I would take the role of like a journalist. And that was really good for me because it allowed, this is going to sound weird and woo woo, right? But it allowed the characters to take ownership of their own story and not necessarily be me. Like it changed the way I told their story, right? Like if they said something, I listened to them, right?
Right.
And so that was really useful. And it wasn't just an exercise. There's aspects or parts of the narrative that are lifted from interviews, right? Like I just liked, this happened a lot with Rebecca in particular. I would like how Rebecca told a thing, and so I would include Rebecca's version of the story um, in the actual novel itself, and so that was really useful. But like as I was writing the story and as I was trying to figure out how I was going to pull things off, I had an idea of where I wanted the story to go, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. Um, I feel like staying close to the characters helped me through really hard parts of the book. So
Mhm.
parts of the series. So I'll use No Gods, No Monsters as an example. So the protest scene that turns into like I don't want to, I won't spoil it, but the big climactic scene,
Yes.
I didn't know how to write that scene, right? Like it's very hard to write a scene that has so many people involved, right? It's not just the main characters, it's like, masses of people and there's a lot going on. It really helped to stay close to the characters and remind myself or re-anchor myself to what are they feeling in the moment, what are they seeing, how are they responding to the things that they're seeing. And that was really helpful for me writing those really difficult big moments. And that continued to be true in We Are the Crisis, because We Are the Crisis has like a really
Yeah.
big climax as well, and I didn't know how to write it. Like I have not had that experience, right? And so staying close to the characters has helped a ton with that. And then with A Room Great and Free, it has been the same way. And um, it's there's a particular section of the climax in A Room Great and Free where I'm very, very close to Lena. And it's sort of like I'm like on her back and she's like guiding me through the, what's happening in the scene. And I would not have been able to write that climax if I didn't do that. Um,
Mm.
the progenitor, Cal, um, is a character that is both very similar and different from me. Like I would say, I'm going to be honest. Like there's a lot of things about Cal that I resonate with, and things that I thought was unique or different about him. Um, as I wrote him more, as I talked about him, I talked about Cal in therapy. I learned that a lot of what he was experiencing, a lot of the feelings he had were my feelings, and I didn't know they were my feelings. And that was like a really eye-opening moment for me to know that like is this particular thing that Cal like realizes is that he's living for his brother, right? Like he's living both as himself, but he's living for his brother. Like he's embodying both himself and his brother because his brother didn't get to live, right? And it's this huge burden for him. Um, and I realized that that is a similar relationship that I have with my father who passed when I was very young. So you think I would know that, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that like in my heart, right? And so like figuring out that was something true about Cal also made me realize what was true about myself. And then so much of book three is Cal trying to find his way back into the world, being present in his relationships. And it's not that I'm not, but like there's ways that like um when things are particularly difficult, I hide. And so like working through Cal's stuff helped me work through some of my stuff, right? It helped me reconnect to my own life and my own world, which is very strange, right? Like I'm sure other authors have this experience, but it wasn't just one direction. It was definitely like a mutual teaching or exploration happening with all the characters, but Cal in a very specific way.
Yeah, and there was so much beautiful emotional processing, but I think since Dragon is in parts of the book both gone through a lot, but also very sheltered, right?
Hmm.
Watching Dragon process the world, both externally and internally, was so like um both compelling, endearing, connecting, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, so I appreciated all of that. I also want to read some of the texts, some of the comments. So this is from Breeze Bookish. My book club read the series together so far. You have such fun and complex multiverse approach, and it still feels tangible. You're a wizard at world building. Um, and this for Brie also says that the springboard for the series is rooted in grief and revolution, which is also very true. Um, at the start of book three, at the end of book two, the characters are whisked off to safety. Anyway. So we are introduced to the community of Moon, right?
Hmm.
Which I was like, I'm here for it, right? It is a cooperative society that characters like Quigley, characters like Sandra have been working for throughout the
Hmm.
series. But for many of the characters, their response isn't like just joy, victorious. There is a complex set of emotions
Hmm.
being in Moon. Um, what was your message about the human condition in describing our characters' reaction to being in Moon? And they were upset about being in Moon even before other stuff happened.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yeah.
It's that's a really oh, it's such a really good question. Yeah, I did a lot of thinking about how each individual character would respond to this new environment. I would say like Lena is having the best response. Um, like she really likes Moon, and she's like I just want to be here, right? And so I do think that like for her the outside world was really noisy, and here she gets to experience solitude. She gets to like do some healing, right? I do think that some of it too is fear, right? Like I think that the reason why she wants to have nothing to do with the rest of the world is because she's now associated this community with safety. And that is both like a blessing and a curse, right? um Ridley and Dragon in particular want to be out. They have different reasons for that. Like Dragon has felt like he has, I'm glad you brought up Dragon because I definitely connect with Dragon as like a part of my like my child self, right? Like trying to understand the world and often failing and often being confused by it, and also feeling like a lot of things are outside of my control. So like Dragon has that feeling a lot, and I mean like to like an exponential degree. And for him, he wants to be out in the world so that he can make his own decisions for the first time. And so I think that like even though um, this intentional community, this cooperative community is quite amazing, that's not something that Dragon necessarily chose for himself. He just kind of came along for the ride. And so that stuff has to mean something for him personally, for him to feel like he should be there. Ridley, I think for him, I think he's struggling because he feels like he ran away, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he feels like he still has a lot to do in the world. And, I think that Ridley sees himself as an activist, right? And so, like, being in this kind of like pocket utopia um, isn't something that he thinks is like, fulfilling all the parts of who he is. And he's struggling with that, right? Like, and then some of it is just boredom, right? Like, by design, um the community isn't like a busy bustling, there's not like parties, like it's families, right? And the
Yeah.
community center is a place you go to hang out. That's what you got, right? And really has a bookstore, and people come in and they pick up a book from the shelf, right? And they pay him, right? And so it just feels like to some degree, at least from his perspective, that it's like it's not fully and completely living. And then you have somebody like Georgie, who I think is like blossoming in the community, right? She's blossoming through her work, through her relationships, through her care, how she cares for the community, and she has a very different experience of Moon than all of these other characters, right? She's not running from anything, right? Like it's for her, it's the point, and yeah, I think it's important to kind of have this really show this really great place, but also just show how different people react to a place like that. Like it's not going to be a uniform reaction. Like I didn't want it to feel like I was using Moon to preach anything, right? Like I think it's great, and I think communities like that are awesome. But I think part of the critique I have about a community like that is isolation, and so some of the characters are dealing and reckoning with the fact that they're isolated. And
Mm.
part of the series is them this community connecting to an even larger community, right? So like the whole series is about communities, and that like builds and builds and builds over the course of the series.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Um, what I appreciate me personally about the Convergence series is even though we deal with the spiritual, we deal with the metaphysical, and supernatural, at the core of the series, as you just mentioned, is relationships. One one part that really touched me is like there's about to be a major standoff, and Rebecca's mom comes to talk to her. And Rebecca's trying to preemptively say like, "I know what you're about to say," and her mom is like, "You don't." And I just thought that was like a really beautiful scene, especially given Rebecca's history in the series. Would you mind reading that for us? I don't know what page it's on and all
Oh
that
yeah. Oh man.
stuff.
One
I mean,
second.
yeah, and I was like, I did not let you know that you get to read. Like, I'd ask you to read an excerpt, and then um, Why was that conversation important to you to include in the trilogy?
So I'm glad you really liked it, and I'm gonna to answer that question. I'm kind of gonna tell on myself a little bit. I was worried about that scene because it felt if on one level it felt like it was kind of out of nowhere. Like she just comes up, right? And so like I'm like, are people gonna buy that this scene should be here? And for me, it felt like it needed to be there because it's this moment where we haven't seen the mother since book two, and their relationship is good. It's on good footing in book two, but I wouldn't say that like it's on great footing. And so like I kind of part of the scene is I wanted to show how far they've come, right? Like there's not a conflict between them anymore, right?
Yeah.
They've worked out the stuff. It's Rebecca and Manny that haven't worked out their stuff yet, right? And so that's part of it. And then the other part of it is like a kind of critique I have about action scenes or action set pieces like this. Like people go off and they do really dangerous things and nobody checks in with them, right? Like and there's no way, I don't know how to render something like this in a realist way because like the next scene is her like fighting like human supremacists with like flamethrowers and guns and all kinds of stuff, right? So like um but it seemed to me like everyone in that room knows what they're about to do, what's going to happen now. It would be incredibly strange for the mother not to um, talk to her daughter. She's there, right? And though she lets Rebecca do her own thing, like they're independent adults with their own lives, she's like, I want to check in with you, and I just want to make sure that you're not whatever you do when you go out there and you fight for the community, you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, and you're not risking yourself unnecessarily. Like they have to risk themselves, like they're kind of put in a spot. But she's like, please take care of yourself is basically the message that's happening there, and that I think the mom also wanted, and I think it was important, and sometimes I wish this happens more in like film and TV and books where parents or loved ones like update the people that they care about where how they see them now, right? Like let them know that like I changed in my perception of you, and I understand you in a way that I haven't before, and I want you to know that I understand you. In a lot of I'm going to just use TV for example. They'll have that reckoning personally, but then you'll never see the conversation between the two people, and so like I just wanted to have that moment where it's rather quick, but she's like, I see you, I care about you, I understand why you've been doing all of this. I'm really proud of you. Be safe.
Yeah.
I just felt like that was important to do at that moment. I'm gonna find it.
Okay. Okay.
You want me to read the whole interaction?
I yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a little bit far. Hey, 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 hey. Okay, all right, I'm gonna do this. An hour later, the decision has been made. As people are leaving the community center, a hand stops Rebecca. Can we talk? Rebecca blinks. Look, Mom, if you're gonna try to talk me out of this, I'm not. Or if you're trying to volunteer yourself for this counter assault, not in a million years. Oh, Rebecca says. So you're just worried then? She catches the eye of Lena, who's standing at the entrance, and waves her off. This may take a while. I'll be careful, Mom. I promise. Girl, if you don't stop trying to predict what I'm trying to say. Sorry. Okay. What is it then? Her mother takes a breath. Yes, of course I want you to be careful. I know better than to try to talk you out of anything. And I've lived my whole life without killing anyone. She pauses, purposely, anyway. So I'm not about to start now. I just want you to know that I love you and I'm proud of you. And she puts up a hand to stop Rebecca from speaking. Your brother does too, even if he's terrible at saying it. We've been talking a lot lately about him leaving. He wants to, as you've surely figured out by now. But he isn't just staying here to protect me. as if I need protecting. He's here because he respects you and loves you. And he understands in his more lucid moments that what you are helping to build here, this community, is important. Her mother comes closer. Now he might leave in the end. She places her hands on Rebecca's shoulders. But whatever he does, you haven't robbed him of anything. You haven't robbed me either. You did some things the wrong way early on. We should have talked before you decided to change me. But, girl, don't you start. Listen, none of this is your fault. We're here because of how the world is, not who you are. You're not cursed. We're not cursed. This is life, just how it is. So don't you go out there with any thought of punishing yourself for sacrificing your life for who you are to protect us. Do what you need to do. Do it as safely as you can. Then come back to us alive. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. Rebecca realizes that her mouth is agape only when her mother nudges it closed, gently lifting her chin with a curled finger. Just as gently, her mother wipes a falling tear away. You don't have to say anything. Her mother looks her right in the eyes. Just come back. I love you. I love you too. She knows better than to make any promises, but she will accept her mother's wish for her to survive. If belief can somehow remake reality, she won't weaken it with doubt. Yeah. Reading it, I'm reminded that the other thing that the mom wanted to do was tell her what Manny would say if he would like get his act together, right? Like Manny needed to say some things, and the mother was like, "I'll say it for Manny."
Yeah. And it was just a very powerful demonstration of like unconditional love, like not like, Rebecca, I love you if you're strong or if you're powerful. It's just like, you're human, and I want to recognize your humanity and that like you are enough. And I thought that, and I'm not trying to like convince you or change you. Like it's just like it was a very beautiful like I see you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we all need a conversation like that. So I appreciated that it was in there, like when it was in there, especially since there was an earlier scene where like, and there have been earlier scenes both in the third book and the second book where Rebecca was really like struggling with her relationship with her family. So yeah, I thought that was beautiful. Um, we're gonna go back to a bigger question. So, how do you see the Convergence Saga, the trilogy in general, and A Ruin Great and Free in particular, contributing to broader conversations of power and liberation, especially within Black speculative traditions?
Wow. um, so okay, I feel like with particularly writers from marginalized backgrounds, um, often we're thinking about how to imagine like a better society, right? Um, how could we be better? What would be the steps that you would take to be better, or what does that better look like? I think that we try to get there to some degree um, when we can. Um, it's mostly like an act of imagination, right? Like a lot of things would have to be different to get to that place. The way, so how I see the Convergence Saga is like something that's closer to now that could, theoretically, hypothetically, whatever, get us to that place, right? Like and I mean by the end of this series they're not there, but um I feel like oftentimes we like imagine like a far future awesome place that things are good or things are great, and the conflicts are other things. And I was very interested in like what could you do now, right?
Yeah.
Like to get there. And now and the book's about monsters, but I think that like solidarity economics and mutual aid and community building and all that stuff are things that you could do, and you can do them in big and small ways. So like the characters in the series, some of them have I mean, they've built intentional communities, but that's not where it starts. Like some of them, it's a bookstore. Um, like it's a jam cooperative, right? Like like it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be anything outside your wheelhouse. It doesn't have to be some grand utopian vision. You don't have to remake the whole world. You can start with like making a change in your corner of it. And so like the examples in the series are people that are making small changes that are actually quite radical in their corner of the world. And
Mhm.
they're contributing to something better. Like that better thing existed because they decided to put the effort in. Like that bookstore is important. That jam cooperative is important, right? And so it for me it's that. It's like a question that I was having that I was like trying to answer through the book. Like, how could you get to that better future? Like, what's the now steps, and not just like you imagine like a bunch of big things over 100 years going well. What could you do today or tomorrow or next year? And so yeah, I think that's how it fits in. But I also feel like as you're writing it, or as you're writing something like this, you realize that it's even something even something on this level is hard, right? And so it's not something that you can get to the end of within a decade. It even something a community based approach like this takes decades. It takes hundreds of years. Like it's going to take time as well. And so like the characters at the end of the series are starting a new chapter of what's going to be even harder thing to do, right? It's never done. And so I think, yeah, I hope that answers the question.
It does. No, it does. It
That's a
does.
really good question, by the way.
No, thank you. I enjoy. No, and it does. And I think what I liked about it does. There is the imagination of it, but it's also I appreciate it like the level of detail. Like there's one scene where Sandra she talks about her work at the nonprofit, right? Like at her nonprofit, like helping small business owners convert their businesses into co-ops, right? And like the
Hmm.
whole rationale about that. So it's not like, oh, there's a co-op, but like this is how we could go about it. This is possible legislation. And I thought that was really fascinating. And I thought that what I appreciated about the series is that it's queer in so many levels. Like there's sexuality, but Wrigley, Rebecca, and Elena are in this like polyamorous triad where the relationship issues isn't like jealousy. How did that dynamic? And I feel like I probably asked you this in our first live, but I'm asking you this again because it also like it does not fall apart, right?
How did it get there? I guess I think that with everything else, like I was talking about this with the climaxes. So I'm gonna go back to that as the reason. Like I was thinking about it from the characters, right? Like I was thinking about the fact that I just imagined there was a period of time between Ridley and Lena, where where they realized that they loved each other and they wanted to be with each other, but they also realized that they were very different and they negotiated that relationship, right? And it wasn't necessarily that it was something before the events of No Gods, No Monsters that they acted upon, but it was just something that they understood, right? And so when things happen with Rebecca, you don't really see it in No Gods, No Monsters. I imagine that they must have had a conversation about it. She was like, I'm developing these feelings. And Ridley is like, okay. Because Ridley's romantic, but he's ace, right? Like, so like they have a conversation and they come to an understanding. And I think that the conflict initially between that relationship is Ridley and Rebecca finding a way to connect. But once they find a way to connect, then it becomes this whole relationship, and it's not just Lena having one relationship over here and another relationship over here. They become like a unit. And I just think that and they negotiate. There's things in the background of all of the scenes where that they have conversations about where they're gonna spend the night, and like what their days are going to look like. They negotiate all of that. Um, and yeah, the question isn't whether or not they're going to stay together. It's like there is how they're going to help each other out with the things that they're going through in their personal lives. And they do have interpersonal conflicts too, but it's never a question of like this is not gonna work, right? 'Cause I just wanted it to be a positive thing. I didn't want it to be a thing that was bogged down with trying to prove itself valid. They don't have a lot of conversations where they're trying to justify it to anybody. There's like a scene where Ridley is talking to his like old flame, Marcus. And you could see that he still doesn't get it. And there's a part of Ridley that's like, um, yeah, I mean, he probably never will, right? Like there's just like a sad acceptance of it. But by the end of that scene, they come to, or that section, they come to a reasonable understanding about like the dynamic in their relationship. And so, yeah, like that's the closest it comes to anybody within the story itself, like being like, what's going on here? For them, it's normal. And so like I'll tie this back to like the fact that they live in an intentional community, or they have a cooperative bookstore. One of the things that I was invested in is showing the normal part of that. Like when a thing is working well, it's kind of boring, right? Like it isn't. Like for a long time when I got interested in cooperative stuff, I kept asking questions of cooperative people, right? Like I would be in community spaces with them. And I'm like, so like how does it work exactly? And I didn't realize until like many years in that was like a very naive question. It's just like it works the way any relationship or partnership or like works, right? Like the details might be a little bit different. So like with a cooperative, it might have a non-hierarchical structure, and then there might be more democratic processes in it. But like it's actually quite boring and mundane. Most of the time, it's just people talking to each other. Lots of meetings. I'm like a part of an author collective, and if you ask me like what's that like, it's like quite boring. Like we meet and then we talk, and then we the democratic processes only show up when there's conflict, right? Most of the time we talk and then we reach consensus. Like actually consensus is like quite normal. Like it's a thing that happens. Like everyone does consensus, and it's not a thing that you're even taught to do, right? You let's say you are hanging out with family, you're on a family trip, you negotiate where you're going to go to dinner, right?
Yeah.
That's consensus, right? And so like it's a lot like that. And so like with that relationship in particular, I wanted to show it's normal. With the cooperative stuff, I wanted to show it's normal. When it's working well, there's not anything kind of like magical about it. It's negotiation. It's the same negotiation you have with everything else. It's, like kind of like dispelling some stuff with that.
Right. No, and you said, because like at one point Alex meets somebody at the airport, and she's like, "Yeah, I have a cooperative break here. I bought it with friends." And people are like, and she's like, well, "How do you make that work?" And she's like, "I get this question all the time." And you're like, just what you're saying now, we talk about it like people who communicate. So yeah, I love that. Um, you kind of already hinted on this, but were there any scenes in the series that surprised you while writing it, like parts that kind of took a life of their own?
There's a scene in book two. I mean, there's a lot of scenes like this, but like there's a scene of okay. The scene that immediately comes to mind is a scene where Dragon, it's in book two, Dragon goes to an apartment, right? Like, and you're following him. He's thinking about things. He's thinking about being underground, and now that he's out in the world, and there's all of this hopefulness in coming from him, like things that he's starting to think about things he wants, like in a way that he never thought about it before. Not just immediate needs, but those larger like those larger human needs that everyone has, and then he hits a tragic wall, right? Like that reminds him that he's not very far from things not going. Um, I'm like talking about it vaguely, but like
Yeah, yeah,
right, like
yeah.
he experiences something that steals the hope from him. And every time when I was writing that scene, when I revised that scene, I can't even tell you what it is about it. I think it's because um, Dragon is so young, and I identify with like the confusion he has in that moment, and the sense of loss. I get like I'm talking about it, I get worked up, right? Like I that all it surprised me what came out in that moment.
Mhm.
Like I didn't know. I knew what was going to happen. I didn't know how I would feel about it, and I didn't know like how um, you know like how Dragon would experience it. And that scene has always been like really tough. It's surprising and tough.
Yeah, it was a heavy scene because Dragon's loss is so because there's the grief of the loss, but also like that rendering of a very safe space for Dragon after
Mhm.
Dragon navigates a lot of trauma and abuse. Poor Dragon. You put Dragon through a lot.
I did, yeah.
So, particularly in books 1 and 2 of the series. And so, yeah, that was definitely like Dragon. Yeah, yes, that scene was, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a tough one. And then like some of the trippier stuff, like the cosmic stuff, like the big high level stuff, were a surprise. I didn't know I didn't. I knew conceptually where I was going, but it's different to like conceive of a thing and try to render it in a tangible way. And that stuff, the parts of the novel where I tried to do that, or the series where I tried to do that, was really hard. Um, but like pleasantly surprising,
Yeah.
like where I
So,
ended up with that stuff.
and so in we have monsters in some universe because it's yeah, some realities, some universes. Um, because in some universes, like our intentions or thoughts are powerful enough to like monsters are either born monstrosities, it's either something you have at birth, you kind of get it like a virus, or it's like it's
Mhm.
intentions, like almost like through witchcraft. And the scene where Aleister Crowley tells about this process is like it's a big metaphysical scene. How did you picture that initially in your head? Like, did you always know, like when you started No Gods, No Monsters, like this would be a route in which monstrosity was created? And I'm using monstrosity not in something terrible and awful, but
Yeah,
somebody is the monster species.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that also was a fun and surprising scene because it's sort of, and I kind of had a conception that I wanted to do something like this when I was outlining it. It's sort of a game of telephone. Like it's someone telling a story to someone about a story that they heard once, about a story that they heard once, about a thing that happened, right? And so like there's all of these layers of like narrative that's being like nested into each other in that particular section. And the reason why I wanted to do that way was because I didn't want to like fully confirm how the thing worked. I wanted to maintain some of the mystery while giving readers part of what they wanted, like which is like what's going on here, right? And so I did it in this kind of like frustrating way. I don't know. I imagine it was frustrating for some readers. Um, but the way that I see it, I can explain it now, because now I really want to. I'm excited to explain it. So like the the way that it works is there's some of the oh, maybe I can explain. Okay, wait. The way that it works is that creation, like it's the thing that like it's the I guess it would be like the soul of the universe, right? Like is the thing that allows things to exist, um, is an energy. It's an energy or force, and it's present everywhere. But in that particular universe, or the universes where there are monsters, the creation force is stronger, and to the point where regular people can create. They can
Right.
create from scratch, right? Like things that don't exist actually. It's a weak power, so that they can't like manifest it. They can't like use their hands and then just like make a pot show up, somewhere. But if you get a young mind and you indoctrinate them into belief that is strong enough, that belief can have creative properties. And so that was just really fun to explore. Like it's coming from the same source as the cosmic stuff. It's just like in a smaller vessel.
Right.
Yeah, and so that stuff was really fun and exciting to kind of like tease that connection to something greater.
Right. And that brings me to I think this will be my last official question before we move into the this or that, which is my second favorite part of what we do now. But um, our main characters are monsters, and you do a really great job of building the reader's deep sense of empathy for the monsters, right? And I mean, they're fast, they live longer. Like, I think in one cooperative meeting, like somebody's like, yeah, we are dangerous, right? Um, and so then I asked myself, if I wasn't reading the book, outside of the book, would I, if I'm honest with myself, be a monster ally? I would not be a human supremacist, but would I be a monster ally, like monster rights? The part of me was really scared. So I asked the question, not why you wrote it, but would you be a monster ally?
Oh man, wow. Um, I think my honest answer to that question is I would be one if I had a personal connection with a monster, right? Like
Mm,
I think that um like in the first book, Ridley struggles with whether or not he wants like to be an ally, right? Like I like on in theory he wants to be an ally, but emotionally he's scared,
right,
right? Like it's like, and some of that is trauma. Like his first interaction with like that part of the world was deeply traumatic, right? Like a bunch of things happened in that moment that was terrifying. And so he's working through all of that terror. I feel like I would be scared, right?
right,
It would be scary for me. I wouldn't, I definitely wouldn't have developed like a human supremacist perspective.
right,
That would not have been me. I would have been able to extend empathy to monsters. Being a part of the movement, I think that it's I'm like an introvert. Like if I'm not, like if I don't have like an access point, it would be hard for me to be involved. But if I did have an access point, if I had a friend that was a monster, I would be involved.
got it. Okay,
To some degree, right? Like I don't know what it would be. I'm not I'm not tough. I can't shift into like a werewolf. Like, like I won't be useful in that way. But I definitely, if I had a relationship with someone, I would.
got it. Okay, that makes me. Because I was like, why do I feel so scared? Okay,
It's scary.
yeah, it's scary. Okay, so yeah, so now it's this or that. Feel free to answer in the chat if you like to. I'll give you two options. You know this. You've done a Sister Sci-Fi one on Wednesday before. The first one, monsters or gods.
Gods.
Okay, okay, You- okay.
I wanted to ask follow-up questions, but you just posed it that way. So I'm like, gods. I think they're interesting. I think monsters are interesting too, but if you put them next to each other, gods.
Gods. Okay, I like that. Um, these are just this or that questions. I mean, like this is recorded; it will go on YouTube, but like the option you choose does not disappear from the universe. It's still there. I feel like sometimes I have to give that caveat.
Mhm.
Afrofuturism or African futurism?
Oh, this is why you're giving the caveat. Um, I'm gonna say Afrofuturism only because I'm more familiar. Like um I'm more familiar with that side.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and so I don't want to speak out of turn for things that like I've read some African futurism that I've loved. I've blurbed like a really amazing African. Uh, what's the title of the book? See, this is my problem. I should not have said
I
anything
mean, yes.
because I'm gonna remember as soon as we get off the call. Um, but I've read some African futurism and I love it, but I'm more familiar with Afrofuturism, so
Okay,
I'll just say that.
okay. And if you send me the link, then we'll take this excerpt and then we'll put the title
Womb
there.
City. Womb
Oh,
City,
nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love Boom City. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I was one. I was like, I
which is
wonder if it's
awesome.
Boom City. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Um, Octavia Butler, Ursula K. Le Guin, and Wrigley's bookstore is named after a setting from an Ursula K. Le Guin book. If Google is correct. Okay. So that's where this question came from.
Ursula K. Le Guin.
Okay.
It's close. It's close. Ursula K. Le Guin.
Okay. Oh, okay. Werewolves or vampires?
Werewolves.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
For
I
me,
feel like I feel like it must have been obvious from the series. Like I
that's
do
true.
spend more
That's
time with
true.
the werewolves.
I just felt like
Um,
if you're going to write about community, then you have to kind of write about werewolves because vampires are not.
hmm. Vampires are cool, and Alex, is really cool, right? Like, but I kind of like the duality. Like, this is true with vampires too, right? Like, there is like a vampire side and a more human side, but I like the idea of being able to shift into something else, to have like a second self, right?
Right.
Um, and oftentimes in fiction in particular, there's like it's like having another soul, right? Like the wolf is different, and
Yes.
they're in communication with the wolf, right? Um, and I just think that's really cool. So
Yes. Okay. Last one. Boston or St. Thomas?
St. Thomas.
Okay. Great. Great. I've never been to St. Thomas, but I still feel like that's the right answer.
St. Thomas wins. St. Thomas wins. Yeah.
Okay. Um, You can choose which question you want to, like, our stand-up question. What are you working on next? Or what are you reading, writing? No, what are you reading, listening to, or watching?
I haven't decided which one I'm going to answer yet.
Okay, I was like,
I'm watching a K drama called Bon Appetit, Your Majesty.
oh, I get that recommended to me all the time. Is it good?
It's good. The first episode is really wacky. I don't know how else to put it. It's wacky, but immediately by like I would say like the midpoint of episode one, it makes a turn, and the wacky stuff is fun too. But like it makes a turn, and then from there, it's great. It kind of reminded me of Apothecary Diaries. It's an anime,
Oh,
but it's doing something different. It has a different vibe, but I feel like I would put them in the same subgenre. I don't know what that subgenre is, but yeah.
okay, I will check it out then because it keeps coming up, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'll watch it. Um, I don't know if you've watched Damascus on Tubi. They're
Yeah.
no monsters, but they're also like alternative universes. Um, it's all black everything. Um, and Martin Lawrence is in it, and the original Aunt Viv from The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, which you mentioned. in the series. So I imagine you're a fan.
Oh wow, yes, yes, I am. Oh man. Okay, I should check it out. Damascus, you said?
Yeah, Damascus on Tubi. Just to let you know, there's only one season, and there's probably not another one. But
That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. It was great to talk to you again. Thank you for the trilogy. Thank you for the characters. I really enjoyed it. I'm here for werewolves and vampires, and I love this reimagining of those worlds.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This time and the last time, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for the great questions, and yeah, I was stuck there for a few of them. So yeah, I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. For those of y'all who are still there, you can click. There's an arrow here. You can follow Cadwell. You can follow Sister Sci-Fi to learn about the great things that Cadwell is doing, future writings, book talks. He posts a lot of great stuff on TikTok. And I will see you in cyberspace. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.